So what does this music mean to you? I know what it means to me. I remember being a little kid and my first love was baseball. I always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player when I grew up, especially during those early formative years of my youth. And then one day I heard rock and roll. I was an only child, so I didn't have any brothers or sisters to turn me on to any music, cool stuff. And both my parents were immigrants from Europe and they didn't grow up in this world, so they never played it around the house. I kind of found it on my own by listening to the radio. And I remember it was Elton John who was actually my real first foray into rock music. I was attracted to all of it. I was attracted to the sound of it, the look of it, and we're talking early to mid 70s Elton John when he was at his most flamboyant. Then I bumped into Queen and Freddie Mercury and Brian May and Roger Taylor and John Deacon. That was a whole other experience. Of course, looking back on things, I mean, those are two amazing bands to cut your teeth on as a young music listener. Uh, they were on the radio a lot, so it wasn't exactly like they were hard to find, but I kind of always think that they found me. That's sort of the way I looked at it. Now, baseball as my first love, it took a back seat at that point. I still love baseball and I still love it to this day. I still wanted to be a baseball player for many, many years, but after the whole rock and roll thing started, I wanted to be a rock star. I wanted to be a singer or a guitar player or something. Obviously, you could tell neither one of those things turned out the way I wanted them to. But it's been a bit of a journey that I've gone on throughout my life. Now, the first album I bought with my own money that I earned doing chores around the house was Elton John's Captain Fantastic and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. Then within a couple of years, things started changing. I was hanging out with some friends and they were into some heavier kind of music, some rock music in the mid to late 70s. And someone told me about a band called Van Halen. I'd heard the name, but I didn't really know Van Halen at all. I was young when that first Van Halen album came out. And truthfully, I wasn't a guitar player. So even when I first heard it, it didn't impact me the way it would have if I was a musician or a guitar player. At that point in my life, I was into Kiss. I was a Kiss kid. I loved the look of the band and the sound. Destroyer, Rock and Roll Over. Those are amazing records. And the visuals of that band grabbed me just as much as the music did. But then one day I remember my mom took me to the mall, went into the record store, and I ended up buying Van Halen 2. And that's sort of the moment, we all have moments in life where things change you kind of in your mind from black and white to color. And I don't know, it's weird because I was into Kiss and Kiss is very visual, but for some reason, when I put that Van Halen 2 album on, I started looking at the back of it and looking at the band, and then I hear the intro to You're No Good and that swirling kind of funky bass at the beginning. That's when sort of things changed for me. And I've never been the same since, musically speaking. Van Halen is and will probably be for the rest of my life my favorite rock and roll band. And once I started playing guitar, it took on a whole different kind of level for me because of Edward Van Halen and his brilliance. So as we moved into the 80s, this whole rock thing for me blew up. You had Black Sabbath with Ronnie James Dio, Ozzy Osbourne with those first two Blizzard of Oz albums, AC/DC, Back in Black, For Those About to Rock, We Salute You, Rat, Out of the Cellar, Iron Maiden, Peace of Mind, British Steel by Judas Priest. Those are just to name a few. I became that kid that maybe some of you were as well in that early to mid 80s period where you had the mullet, you wore the rock shirts everywhere, and you spent every penny that you earned or were given at the local record store, or if you could get to concerts, you would buy concert tickets. So then came a time, my best friend Rob invited me over his house, and he had MTV. I knew what it was, but I didn't have it yet. It hadn't made it to my part of town. So I'm sitting there, and I remember the first video I ever saw on MTV was Rainbows, Since You've Been Gone, with Graham Bonnet on vocals. And I thought, this is awesome. I'm never leaving Rob's house. Uh, Now, eventually, we ended up getting MTV probably 6 months later, and I experienced all that in my house and basically never wanted to leave. I just wanted to watch that 24/7. So all of these things, as you probably can relate to, these are burned in my memory so vividly and deeply. The music that we all love, it's made such an impact on my life. I mean, I still wear the Rock t-shirts. I mean, I've got my Styx 78 World Tour shirt on. Look, some things never change. But anyway, I've got drawers of these shirts. And I mean, I still have a lot of vinyl. I have a lot of CDs. But probably like most of you all, I do most of my listening these days on the streaming services. I listen to a lot of Spotify, and I don't feel guilty about it at all because it's all pretty much there. I mean, I can get anything I want. I can find almost anything I want. And I love so much of it, it keeps me going. I listen to it every day, and I'm sure a lot of you can understand how that is. Now, my music taste has evolved over the years, but that period from the mid to late 70s up until grunge hit in the early 90s was an amazing time to be a young person into music. I saw the t-shirt that I never forget this. It says, "The earth has been around for 4.5 billion years, but I was alive to see all the cool bands." And that's how I think of it. I mean, I really think, if you're watching this, you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. And if you feel like, feel the same way, then we're pretty much cut from the same cloth. It's been an amazing ride being alive during the time we've been alive. I mean, there's a lot of crap that goes on in the world today, in the past, whatever. It'll continue to go on. But we can always go back to our music and our memories and the shows we saw. I mean, Hit Parader magazine, Cream magazine, all the albums and the posters, and hanging with your friends, listening to music, reading liner notes and lyrics, and quizzing each other on band knowledge and who is this guy in the band and who is that guy in a band. And I used to think one of the coolest things that you could do was turn someone onto an album that you absolutely loved or that they'd never heard of, or maybe in some cases barely heard of. And then on the flip side, getting turned on to something you didn't know about. And I still have a group of friends where we have these conversations about these sort of fringe bands and artists, and we send each other songs on Spotify or videos, YouTube snippets, and little commentary, reviews, or explanations. And like I might say, this band sounds a lot like Queensryche. You should check this out. I mean, I still enjoy the hell out of doing that. And I do some of that on this channel, and I will continue to do it because I get a kick out of it. And I love it when you all give me feedback in the comments and you tell me about bands or records, and I listen to them and I'm like, well, now I picked up something new and something I like. So I want to keep doing that. And I just wanted to share some of these thoughts with you all because, I mean, I'm super passionate about this stuff, and I've gotten to know a decent amount about a lot of it. Now, I don't know all of it. I don't know about all of it, and I never will. But I still go down that YouTube rabbit hole on most nights, and I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about because maybe you got to this video through watching another video that recommended it, or you clicked on your browser and I was there, and anyway, and the algorithm suggested the video. Next thing you know, it's 2 hours later, and you've been watching videos from all types of bands and content creators, and it takes you on a little journey. So the other night, for instance, I wanted to watch that video from the band Accept called, the song's called Midnight Mover, and it's on Metal Heart album is what it's on. Because I really thought that video was cool, especially when it came out, the way the camera spun around and it worked with the music. I mean, back in the 80s, that was high-tech stuff. And then, I'm watching that video and I see a recommendation for something else. I realized hours later, I was watching videos from all kinds of bands Um, and if you haven't done that in a while, I'd suggest you do it, because you end up tripping over things you've never heard or seen before. I mean, some of it is okay, some of it is not okay, some of it's not great. But you find that diamond in the rough and it leads you down another rabbit hole. And that's the fun of it. And that's kind of the point of me rambling about all this. It's this passion that I have and that we have for this music. And by this music, I'm talking about the hard rock, metal, rock, pop from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I mean, I look at my YouTube analytics for this channel, and the people that are watching most of my videos are mostly men between the ages of 45 and 65. So we're talking Generation X and baby boomers. So if you're watching this and you're one of the part of those generations and you're into music as much as I am, then we're probably kindred spirits. Don't ever lose that passion you had for music when you were a kid or a teenager. All this stuff I just talked about, look, things can get tough as we get older. Life gets in the way. You have family responsibilities, you have job, health issues, financial stress, all of that. I get it. I deal with it too. But isn't it glorious that we have something that we can hang our hat on and really truly go back and enjoy whenever we want? I mean, it's at our fingertips. I mean, we're pulling up pure memories. There were no cell phones back then. And as you guys probably remember, if you went to concerts anytime in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, before cell phones became a thing, tickets had printed on them no cameras, no video or sound equipment. You weren't allowed to record any of that stuff. I mean, most of the stuff on YouTube is recorded videos of shows and concerts. That stuff would not fly back in the day. So my point is, a lot of this stuff just comes from memories now. And I will tell you, as I got a little bit older, meaning my early to mid 20s, before I got married and had kids, you'd go out before a show, you maybe have a few too many to drink, and you smoke a little something. All of a sudden, you're like, wow, I don't remember much about that concert. Now, there are a few shows I went to where I know I was there. I had the ticket stubs. I remember walking in, but I don't remember a thing about the show. I mean, it's a shame, but it was life. It was an experience. That's just what was going on at the time. So I'll say it. Keep throwing up that two-fingered horn salute. Listen to rock and roll. Stay young at heart. And know that your good friend, rock and roll, is always there when you need it. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed my rambling to some degree. And maybe you're sitting there saying, yeah, I get it. This guy is speaking my language. Well, go listen to something you really want to hear, or go down that YouTube rabbit hole I was talking about. Do that tonight. Find something that makes you smile and gets the adrenaline flowing a little bit. Thanks for taking time to watch this video. Leave me some comments. Give me the thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Let me know about your youth and what you were into, and turn me on to something cool that I can go, oh, awesome. And then in my future videos, maybe I'll turn you on to some music you weren't hip to before. So anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.